Have you ever had to secure your valuables?
I've secured some valuables before.
You know, like you got your bicycle. You want to, you know, secure it to a rack so it doesn't get stolen. Or like at high school, you got to lock up your locker, right? You got your locker there. Gonna make sure it's
but
none of the other kids break into it.
Well, I'm not in high school, but you know, I can imagine what.
I thought you were in high school.
No, I haven't been in high school in years, actually.
Are you sure? I thought you said you were in high school.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm no longer. Yeah, I'm not in high school.
Well, I'm going to show you how to make some knots.
Trust me, if I got a beam management, I was so upset. What's your name? Give me a problem.
Okay, I just learned probably the strongest knot ever. Okay, I was just on the internet, I downloaded the PDF for it. They claim it will replace your standard U-lock.
That's going to keep the bike there.
How's anybody gonna break into that? How do you get past that? Do you see the way it just... It's tight. You can't get a crowbar in there. Can't get a crowbar in there. I do a lot of workshops with small children and after-school clubs and things. The Boy Scouts are always after me to do a little knot teaching. And I find that a lot of kids are afraid. They'll say, we don't know how to tie knots. Why do we, you know, it's too complicated. Let's go on the internet instead. And I say, look, Jamal, knots are important and they're not hard, they're easy. And I start them out with something that's very basic. This is a knot that's called the standard bear. And you're probably familiar with this if you've ever tied your shoes, because it just goes like this. You loop it, you make a little loop, you pull it through, and you pull it taut like that. And that's what we call the standard fair. And once the kids learn that one, they're a little more open to picking up some new ones. So I move on to something that actually was up until recently classified military information. It was developed by the Army overseas. This is one that the kids like. It's called the Swiss Army knot. Okay, I don't know if you can get a good shot of this, but you make a little loop there. You pull this one through, so it goes like that, and then you pull it taut like that. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, and this is probably my favorite, has a little rhyme to it to teach the kids, because the kids learn with those mnemonic devices. It's called the forget-me-not, because it's impossible to forget. So it starts out like this. Make a little loop, pull it through the hoop. That's the forget-me-not. See? And it's simple. And kids, I think, could relate to that, whether they come from a broken home or not. So you know the term tie the knot? You know, tie the knot?
I've heard the term.
You know where that comes from? You know where that comes from?
I actually don't.
Actually, in the olden days, they used to have arranged marriages, right? So what would happen is two families would come together, and they would, you know, say, okay, son, you're marrying this daughter, or somebody else's daughter. And they would actually physically tie the two people together.
I don't think
They would take out the rope, and they would say, you're... This is one called the Fiddler's Elbow. Liberace actually used this one to tie up his elbow when he was when it popped out of place. Just ties right around the arm like that. A lot of people underestimate how often knots come up in everyday life, right? But most people have more use for them than they would expect, right? You get to tie up your paddle boat at the cottage or something, right? Or you get to tie up your yacht if you're a little bit rich. Or let's say you live in a bad neighborhood, you got to tie up your Lexus. Or you get to, for safety, you got to tie up your dog in your backyard during a thunderstorm. Or like today, like graduation day, you got to do something as trivial as tie up a balloon here, right? Comes up all the time. And I mean, I think the knot that a man ties says something about his character. It says something about the quality of human being that he is, you know? This one is, they call it the great blue heron because when they first discovered the great blue heron and dissected it, they actually found that its intestines were in this shape. We'll just pull it taut. The animal kingdom. Inspiration. You know, in karate, they've got like the black belt, the brown belt, the blue belt, the pink belt, like so you can tell who is good at karate and who is like bad at karate, right? Who sucks. Well, there's kind of the same thing in the knot tying community. We've got a special handshake, and once you've exhibited a certain level of expertise, once you have mastered the 200 most basic knots, you are taught this handshake. And then you're, you know, in the club. It's how you know, knot tiers identify themselves, how they relate with one another, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool handshake.
Can
I'm not allowed to show you. Do you know?
Just show me the handshake.
Do you know 200 knots?
I know a few.
Do you know? Do you know 200 knots?
I know 200 knots.
Okay. So you sort of approach them like this. Put your hand out.
Okay.
Welcome to the club. You're gonna shake. You're gonna shake to congratulate you. This knot is actually another one that originated overseas. It's French, and they call it le knot framboise because if you look, see it resembles a cherry. See that?
Yeah.
With the stem.
You've tied the same knot for everything you've said. You've been tying the same knot 20 or 30 times now, actually.
No, I understand. To your untrained eye, they look similar. But I've written over 50 books on the topic. I think I know what I'm talking about.
You haven't written any books, and you've tied one knot several times, and you've given it a bunch of names that aren't even real. It's the same knot every time.
Okay, Glenn? You got me? I know nothing about knots.